Jason bought my dad's practice in 2002. I bought half of the practice and Dad became our associate. In theory, he was still the boss. We just didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about cash flow. They would see me and they'd be like, we just want to see your dad. And going into that large capital expenditure was painful because we just had no perspective. Allowing a coach to tell you the things that maybe you didn't want to hear and being receptive of them, and also sometimes not wanting to hear them, and then also understanding that you got to hear that. It totally changed my whole trajectory of life. My goal was $5 million at 55. Expanding the practice from 8 to 30 was a huge turning point. But once that door opened up, and you look at that next room and you're like, well, I didn't even know this room existed, and now this is a very fun room to play in.
I love that. Welcome to the private, some days I have to remind myself of the name of this podcast, And so as a reminder, right, we're talking about issues in private practice, right? And what is the playbook for success? And so today we have live a very special guest, Dr. Todd Sala.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so great to have you.
Thanks for having me, buddy. I appreciate it.
Fun. So long-term client, long-term friend. Dr. Sala and his brother coach for us. So so they're actively coaching other doctors. You're actually here. He's got a coaching workshop coming up the next 2 days. That's right. Is here in Atlanta. We are at the brand new Valley studio, so welcome.
Okay, I like
Working out the kinks a little bit. So let's dive in. You're coming in hot from last night from Reno, right?
Non-stop.
Yeah. Okay, good.
That's a big deal for us.
Okay, good. I like it. I'm just finishing up a month-long sabbatical, so apologize about the... I'm getting a mullet coming in here, so I got a haircut tonight, and I just haven't been able to get to the haircut. Yeah. So I had the opportunity to spend a month, and so just thinking about cool ideas, detaching from your schedule a little bit, and reflecting on life. So I'm pretty fired up right now about everything, and so be careful.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, you better watch out. I think one of the main takeaways. So number one, I want all of you to think about that. We get in this rhythm, right? Mm-hmm. You get in a groove, and all of a sudden it starts becoming very automatic. If it's how you drive to work or what you do, and the schedule and all that, right? I mean, I think innovation is a little difficult sometimes. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about really Todd's journey, and we're going to share. I've never had you on a podcast, which is kind of fun. So there's a lot of things to share. So I have to, I want to really kind of lay out your journey, if you would, because I think that's what's very helpful, And there's really two things I see. One, when you bring another doctor, doctors do like to hear from another doctor, but then they have a heightened judgment, I've noticed. Right. Yeah. Like I've noticed when I bring in other doctors to speak at my events, I've brought in like Bill Dorfman and stuff. I'd interview a client afterwards. I was like, I don't think you got why I brought him here, because they couldn't get past he's another doctor, right? Yeah. So it's kind of the plus.
The same profession.
Yeah. So remember, we're all people. And so, we kind of start out with that, right? So remember that we're just all people. And some of us just do better in business than others. Some of us do better financially than others. Some of us do better managing people than others, and all that kind of stuff. So let's start to unwind your story.
Let's do it.
So number one, you practice with your brother.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
And when I first met them, I never saw these two apart. I thought, these guys twins? What's happening? Right? So you guys really...
Oh, for sure.
You are tight, right?
100%. Yeah.
So talk to me about that. So first of all, your father was a dentist. Yep. So give him a little bit of history about, before we get into your family and all that, but like the dental lineage that is the Sala family story.
Yeah. 1912, University of Louisville, Kentucky. Great granddad, 1912, wow. 1945, 1972 for my dad. 2002 for my brother, 2003 for me, and then my uncle went to the University of Kentucky, and so he's kind of the black sheep. Everybody else went to the University of Louisville.
Okay.
110 years, something like that. 113 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, huge line. And Jason and I came back at dental school. Jason bought my dad's practice in 2002. I bought half of the practice. My dad.
So he bought it originally.
Yep, because he was a year ahead.
Okay. That's what I was going to say. I didn't know if that happened in a simultaneous transaction.
No,
Okay.
Jason bought dad's practice.
Okay.
In 2002, and then when I came out a year later, I bought half of the practice, and Dad became our associate, which was more kind of in theory. He was still the boss. We just didn't know anything. We weren't smart enough to get ahead of that one. So, but had the lucky enough opportunity to work with him for 7 years, which was quite an opportunity.
So there were 7 years of like really treating patients together.
Yeah, the three of us. Yeah.
Okay.
And kind of the Jason and Todd becoming good at being dentists, and my dad allowing us to screw things up. You know, you think about doing something for 37 years, and then you got to watch somebody else doing it their first year.
Did they have like nicknames for you, like being seen by a mini Sala, or?
Well,
I mean, do you ever know of any of them? Like, would the patients be like? It's hard for a patient, right? Like you're used to seeing the.
Dr. Mike was the man. I mean,
Right.
they would basically, they would see me and they'd be like, "We just want to see your dad." Like I was just there as a placeholder to farm for my dad, because I mean, he had his following was the 55-year-old female, and they loved him, and they were not going to switch over to me.
Wow. So that's interesting, right? So you walk in, you're like, "I'm your doctor." They're like, "No, you're not."
They're like, "Thanks for seeing me, and we'll wait till Dr. Mike comes in." Yep.
Get your dad for
Yeah.
me. Was that hard? That had to be hard.
It was a huge hurdle, and you just don't know any different, right? And I'm left-handed, so we had to retrofit my dad's office to a left-handed room, one of the rooms. And you actually had to walk through my dad's office, which there's only 2 chairs for 3 of us. And then the way the room was placed, I had to be in the chair while the patient was sat down, and the patient would sit down and lay back, and I was trapped.
Wow.
So, let alone super young, the patients didn't want to see me, and then stuck in the room.
Oh my gosh, you're like awkwardly in the corner.
Hello, welcome, yeah.
That's really funny. Okay. So this was the destiny. I mean, was it like when you grew up, were you like, I will be a dentist?
No, that was Jason.
Okay.
Yeah, I was kind of navigating a slightly different path.
So you thought maybe you'd go a different route?
I just didn't know.
Professional athlete?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like something like that?
I think I did business and physical therapy for most of college. And then I actually went and saw my dad, what he did. I didn't really know what a dentist actually did. I just saw my dad being mostly happy.
Yeah. Having his name on a building.
Yeah, and he'd come home happy. And so I actually saw what he did, and I was like, oh, this is
cool.
Kind of what I think I'd be good at.
Jason goes a year early. Mm-hmm. You come in 7 years there. When did he retire? Was it like, when did he just stop coming in?
Like the second year out, we built a new building that had about 8 chairs, ended up with like 10 or 11 chairs in it. And my dad was kind of, you could see him throttling back, where he's like, okay, I only want to see 5 patients a day. He was kind of the Walmart greeter of guys.
Okay.
And then he actually went on a vacation to Turkey, and he came back, and in the next monthly meeting, he said, I'm going to retire. And everybody's like, oh, wow, we kind of knew it was coming. When is it going to be? And he's like, oh, it was when I left. I'm never doing this again.
His sabbatical left him never to return to the office.
100%.
Basically.
And everybody's like, what? And I said, well, good luck getting a letter of recommendation. No 2 week notice, nothing.
That's funny.
Yeah. So it was good. It was really
nice. So
nice.
he had an epiphany. It was like, let these guys run with it. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. This all happens, and I'm assuming, so you buy his practice, which is code for you make payments to him for
like literally last year we finished the payments. Okay. It was a full deal. Okay. There was no gifting of anything, and I'm not being critical of it. That's just what it was. We're happy to get, that was good practice to buy. Yeah. We clearly did not get a family deal on it, which is fine.
But it all worked out.
It worked out great.
Yeah, you have the opportunity.
Had a great opportunity.
But this is not about airing your grievances with parents right here.
Is this therapy for
Actually,
me?
could we go there? Yes. Tell me how you really feel.
What's this podcast called?
Yes. something your daddy. I don't know, right?
It was great working with him.
Better looking back.
I've never had a problem when we worked together. It was. But looking back,
I've heard that a lot.
That was a great gift.
Yeah, people say, I wish I would have appreciated it more or whatever at the time. Do you remember what year we started working together? Because
we were in 2010.
Okay.
Maybe 2009, 2010. So it was about the time my dad was kind of on the way out.
Okay.
And we flew out to Atlanta for a
meeting.
Put your $279 down kind of meeting, and it was awesome. I mean, I'm very thankful for that. Actually,
that was the meeting where I say, you're not living up to your potential. You could do so much more, right? I mean, kind of like, right? It's kind of like, okay, maybe we could.
I actually told Jason at that meeting, I distinctly remember telling him, I said, if this guy is true and accurate, we're all in.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
16, 17 years later.
Isn't that interesting, right? It's like and I have to think about that a lot, like you have to make that claim. I've said that to a lot of people, and it's like there's those that do it, and there's those that just prefer to think I'm just making something up, right? Which is like so crazy, right? It's like, and then they never discover what's possible for them. So that's a lot of fun. And again, I know that's in the rearview mirror for you guys. You guys are now the guys. Like you're your dad. Isn't that funny?
Correct. Yeah.
So for the associate now, they come in and they're like, hey, we want to have, So you've seen this. So you've actually gone through that, and then you guys have hired people to work in the office, and you've then seen that on the other side of it.
Correct. I think the hill to climb over to get patient acceptance is lower for the newer doctors because there's more of them. There's less Todd only patients or Jason only patients now because it's spread. There's other doctors who have been there long, so they're actually gaining their own book of business. And so that hill is less hard to climb, but they still have to climb it. Yeah,
if they don't know any different, it's okay.
It's still hard, yeah.
I felt terrible. I was, last week, I was doing a workshop in Phoenix, and Flint was doing a customer appreciation event, and this lady comes in, she finds me, and she says, I'm in the room with Baby Geier. And I said,
Baby Geier.
Number one, he's a grown man. Number two, he's bigger than me. I just thought it was kind of funny. I was like, I had some compassion for him right at that moment. I was like, did she really just say that? I thought, not to mention, so it's kind of, I could see where you would, you're going to let them be independent. So, okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the struggles and the things that you guys had to learn along the way. I think, if we go to current day, you guys are running how many operatories in that building now?
34.
I was going to say, okay, so 34 operatories. This thing is like it's like if you see a house that's just been added on to with wings and wings, this is Sala Family Dental, right? Yeah. 34 operatories. Yeah. So again, and when you got it, you started with 8.
Correct.
Okay, so it's pretty awesome. And it's, it is what it is, right? It's a machine. So, if we bring you guys to that, just to kind of put it in perspective, now you don't see patients a lot anymore. Mm-mm. So are you really, really out? Or do you?
So I think it's great because you're kind of going through the margin of life time things. We are in a dip of losing doctors. We lost, I think we're going to lose 3 in 6 months. So I'm kind of.
You're going to go back. You're going to dust off the old handpiece. And okay.
I'd like to.
Listen, stay away from Family Sala. No, I'm just kidding. He's lost his touch. No, I'm just kidding.
There's that commercial in TV that says, like, the guy's like, guess who got reinstated? That's it. So I come downstairs. I'm like, all right, I can do this. I know how to do this. But I like doing it.
It's good.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's good to.
It's helpful to see exactly what's going on, too.
Yeah. But it's been a while, right? The last few years, you've been really managing and running the practice and other things.
4 full years.
Yeah. So obviously, you go from inception to today. That's pretty cool. You coach clients. So tomorrow you'll be, walking people through content, about growing, and so you've seen the flip of what I did to you,
correct?
Right?
Very
meaning. You're now seeing a new person come into our program. You see them grow, come back. Okay. Yeah. It's fun. It's pretty cool.
It's like a kind of a 3-year journey as a client of yours. And it's fun to see them kind of get through their own hurdles of the major breakthroughs. I think about it with my own breakthroughs with, being the client of yours as well. I'm thinking like 2010 committed, 2013 one of the events, I didn't know anything about cash flow. And then it took me about 4 years to really get into like actually understanding
what is that?
What is it, and not just going to the operatory to solve all the problems, but actually looking at a profit and loss statement.
Yeah.
That was a huge turning point. Expanding the practice from 8 to 30 was a huge turning point.
Lots of debt.
Lots of debt, lots of
or capital expenses, we should say.
Investments. Some investments that, I think first building we built, it was if you build it, they will come. That was actually the strategy from the sales rep. Then 2017 or 2016, when we expanded again, we actually knew numbers. And going into that large capital expenditure was painful because we just had no perspective.
Yeah.
It was just more like, we're going for it. We're going to do it. The community needs us. Our team needs to be bigger and better. The vehicle needs to be bigger and better. And so that was kind of a self-induced winter.
I think that's a big deal for everybody listening, that capex expenses. So like if you turn on a CNBC or something, you're going to hear that word thrown around. In one morning, if you watch for 2 hours, you're going to hear the word capex 10 to 12 different times. Hey, we've got the CEO of GE on, and they're going to say to him something like, well, I see you're planning a lot of capex expenses. So capex is the process of capitalization, which is investing money that's up and above operating costs into growing the business. So capex is positive and then it grows the business. But don't you think that's been a journey? I think a lot of business owners, like practitioners, they don't really realize that, you went to school to be a dentist, but if you're really going to grow your dental practice, you have to capitalize it, which is what you were describing. And that is usually done through a vehicle of borrowing and then amortizing it over time. So I do think that is a very, I think you guys have been through that. We think we can pay for capital expenses out of cash flow, and then that just really creates an enormous cash flow crunch, or deleveraging too fast, or spending too much, right? All the various things.
All three go into that. And they're all equally stressful, even if you did it yourself, lowering your own cash flow, borrowing it from the bank, or trying to pay off the debt faster.
And that's been a very, for everybody listening, right? I've always been saying, I've been in your ear since day one, saying buy and pay off. Buy, right? I think that's a fair message, right? Yeah. So in a lot of ways, you live below what some people do. If they don't have that in their ear, they're buying, they're borrowing, and then they're simultaneously not expediting the payoff and overspending. So talk about living hell.
Double header.
Right?
And I've definitely been there on that, where the output and the input are not in alignment and not paying off debt faster.
Right. So I know you guys were getting really close to, I don't think you have a day.
We have a date, but this is an update for you.
You're going back in. Well, you're going to capitalize.
We're going to recap. Yeah. We're going from 29 operatories to 34 this year.
Okay. So you're going to kind of gotcha.
Interesting on, being down 3 doctors.
Yeah.
And that is kind of like the weakest point, right? That's when the metal will break. So, and I have to go in and help out produce dentistry, which is fine. But at the exact same time, adding 5 chairs and kind of, I think it's contrarian in belief.
Yeah.
Seems like you'd want to buckle down, batten down the hatches and watch all the pennies, which we are doing. Yeah. But also going into $1 million more of debt.
Yeah.
Or
capitalizing it to get the ops. Right?
So it's going to extend the debt-free zone, not from 26, but probably to 27. It's going to take us 11 years to get out of the whole debt of the investment of the 17,000 square foot building.
Yeah, but if you think about that as an example, it puts you in really great shape, right? You're still really young. It's like you're not as young as you were, but you're still young.
Yeah.
So.
But you were correct on the net worth play. That getting closer to 50, when I was getting closer to 40, could have had the building paid off, the 10 chair building paid off, made good money, but couldn't have had the team along with us. So 10 years of focused on getting that vehicle better to bring more people along with us has been clearly night and day for us.
So somebody's watching this and And you meet people all the time this way, right? Yeah. And you'll see them come into coaching, and they have this impression that big is more of what small is. Meaning, like, why would I want more of this? Correct. Don't you think? Oh. Tell me about what you've learned about that, like this, and what you think. Like when somebody does that, how do you? Because it's not more of this crappy little thing. No. It's bigger, but it's different, right?
It's different because I think then you start getting to go into your own strength play more. Good dentist, a great dentist across the board, but my strength position is not every bit of dentistry. So when we expanded and added more doctors to do it, they would take over the things that I did not want to do, and therefore I could do the things I did want to do or that I'm better at. Yep. So you think about, like, when we first started the practice, it was me and Jason and 10 staff members. Start out with 4, get to 10, we're dealing with 5 people at all times. Go to 20 people, you're dealing with 20 people until you figure out that you should not deal with all 20 of them. Right. And then you're
back to dealing with 5.
Then you go to the original 5 and you grow more, and then you go back to the original 5 and grow more. And then you build in layers around you so then other people can handle that, offset that workload for you.
You'll like this move. So we moved offices in February, and I was in Aspen, and what am I going to do, right? Like move the stuff, So they move in. I got funny. I was at the office for the first time yesterday, and I look, and the old signs of the old company are still up. I'm like, did anyone think to take down the name of the company that used to be in here?
They're still on the wall.
And then Avid sends me a picture and she says, here's your office. And I said, I'm going to pass. I was like, I just gave it away today. I was like, I went on sabbatical, and I decided that I officially am retiring from going to an office in the office. Okay. Does that make sense? Uh-huh. And then I have an office a couple blocks from here. Okay. But it's kind of funny, like that is like your dad. I feel like your dad. Like I came up and I was like, yeah, I'm not going back. It just doesn't make any sense. Like I don't need to be there.
Yeah, you might go to a conference room there, but you're not going to have a place to park
exactly.
there.
Yeah, we have some cool meeting spaces, and there's like a cafeteria. You can just go meet out there. So I was like, because it's like,
I think that's good.
It's funny. And then
keeps you less obligated to it.
Well, do you remember you've been in my old office at the headquarters? It was pretty palatial.
It was.
So they were at lunch. We had free lunch at the office. I bought everybody lunch yesterday. And they're like, how do you like your new office? I'm like, well, it's missing a private restroom. It's missing a few things,
You've become accustomed
like
to
you have now, because you actually.
I do have that now as well.
I went to their office one day, and it was like, they were so funny. They're like, you got to see this. And it was like, we saw you had this and we built it. It was it was great. Like,
exactly. Stamp
that
it.
Private bathroom. That was it.
It's helpful.
Yeah, it's great.
Right? Helpful it is.
Okay, so let's talk now. All this is going on. You got a marriage and kids, right?
Correct.
So now that you've kind of come through some of this, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Let's talk about. So give them a little glimpse. You've been married for how long?
Okay, 24 years.
Right.
This year.
Okay, so 24 years. Mm-hmm. Your oldest is. Was he 20?
Freshman in college.
So does that make him 19? Okay. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's kind of we're on the, we're nearing the Freebird stage at home. So my daughter's driving. She's a sophomore in high school. So we're kind of glomming onto her because that's like the end of that phase, which is great. Son's doing good in college. He's playing baseball at a college, and he's doing good. And he's learning how to mature on his own. That's neat. And right now it's just it's a good time, but it's also very different. Yeah. Right? Because that 20-year time frame is relatively the same. Yeah. You're going to go to work, crank on things, sink or swim, grind it out, get things done, find what you like. And now it's kind of like that phase is closing, and it's opening up a new phase of life, which is not bad. It's just going to be a little bit different.
But I think also let's talk a little bit about your ability to be present, to be in their lives. Oh, yeah. How are you feel? I mean, you might not be at the stage yet where you can actually say, hey, I think I did pretty good. Right. You still may be questioning some of that. But
I think that's fair with a 19-year-old boy, yeah.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's about 26 maybe.
Is that when it happens?
That's what they say.
Okay.
Mine,
the frontal lobe starts
Flint never did that. It's funny. Like, it was just like he was mature from the beginning, like a little baby came out like a little.
I wouldn't say Luke is that way. He's enjoying himself.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That stage, that's good.
But I think I think of running the practice for the kids were around for the majority of that. I don't think there was a time that I think I was overly invested in the business or drowning in the business. And
I think it's a big
I don't
deal.
think I was overly invested in the family either. I think that what they would probably say is if we played this back for them in 5 or 10 years, they'd probably say it was a well-balanced childhood for them. They saw a dad that worked.
Yeah.
Me and Jason put in a lot of effort to it because that's what we want. And I think that's where potential gets played.
It's a big deal.
And I don't have any thoughts that I missed anything. I think you told us a lot about etched memories and focused time and
a lot of that.
a lot of dad-daughter dates on weekends and stuff. So a lot of really, actually way more stuff than I ever anticipated in my own brain. Just, it was never there. It wasn't a thought.
Yeah. I think that's for everybody, thinking or listening to this, like you got to think that you don't want to trade a little bit of money for, I don't call it neglecting, but just being not good at some of these things. So obviously finding that balance is important. And it's a huge, even if you make a little less money and you don't have regrets, right? At the end of the day, I think that's, and it's been fun to watch you guys because you guys have been, I think both you and your brother are just both, I call him Mr. Etched Memory because he is always sending me a picture of I think he uses it as a professional justification, honestly. But that's okay.
Validity.
No, right? He's gonna be sending me pictures from Dubai. I'm making etched memories. No, but it's great though. I think it's great.
It's
really glumming on to that process and doing cool things. And then you guys always send me if you're at a sporting event, it's funny. They send me pictures you taught us to be in a suite. We're in a suite. I'm just you're using. No, I always kind of laugh. I love it. It's like a justification to do it right.
I sent you the thank you for the Super Bowl, whatever that was, 3 or 4 years ago.
It was awesome. Not to change subjects too far, but you have obviously also a very. I remember we had a suite for the Super Bowl and we invited a bunch of people and you set up one of those little boards.
I set it up.
And so he sets it up and he wins every dollar in the entire thing. I think
I won
it was fascinating.
3 or 4 quarters. That was.
Do you have a little touch like that? Are you lucky or you don't know?
It follows me around.
Okay. I was checking because I was like, even one of my kids this day, he's like, that guy's the luckiest guy ever because of that.
It was good.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about, so you've had the opportunity to see the business now from the other side, right? It's you guys have been through building the business to a certain point and continuing to do that and pushing those limits beyond what, you would have known. And then all of a sudden, you have a conversation with somebody and it's hey, I'm a dentist. And you're okay. And then, it's almost a little bit unrelatable, right? When you tell them you're running 30 operatories, there's probably a bit of a what is that? What's wrong with you or whatever. And then you've also seen people take a stab at trying to do better and fail.
Correct.
So can we talk a little bit about what I obviously have a lot of observations because I've had the great pleasure of watching people try to do better and then people killing it. You know what I'm saying? So what do you notice about that cycle? Do you have any thoughts about if I said, hey, what do you think it is? Why does somebody come and they get so much so fast and then others just can't seem to get it?
Delegation comes to mind right off the bat. I think
too much control,
relinquishing that control, trusting the other person to do the job really well. That's what I see a lot of is that they will offload it, but then they'll take it back. Or they want to be the hero, so they don't actually offload it. They might micromanage it.
Is that control? At the end of the day, is control? I mean, we say delegation, but isn't it that a controlling person is incapable of delegating? I mean, do you think that's part of
I think it's a major, it can hold people back as a deficiency, but I still think that people can become delegators.
But do you think dentists are perfectionists?
Well, I think they're beat down for at least 4 straight years to become a perfectionist. And so I think that if they can realize that if they can offload some of the stuff to somebody else, they can actually get to the things they want to do more, right?
Interesting.
And still be consistent with that precision of dentistry. because it's a weird thing, right? So you're supposed to grow a practice. You have a blueprint to how to grow the practice, but then you're holding on to these little micro things along the way. And if they can figure out how to, which is challenging for me as well, but less challenging, I would say, with personality style of mine.
But I think having sensitivity to why it's a struggle for other people, right? Like I think people look at people and, I know it's, one of the funniest guys is Howard Ferran, right? And every time I get with Howard Ferran, and he's sort of flattered, I think he must say this to everybody, but he's always like, oh man, you know what? He's like, he goes like, they look at you and they think something and they need to look at me. And he's like, look at me, like look at how I look. And it's always it's that kind of the average Joe, that movie Average Joe.
For
like,
sure.
So do you think, as I've watched you become more handsome as the years go on, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's funny too, like people with a little bit of, and it is funny, like there is something about, you watch people that have some resources, they get better looking over time, not usually worse looking.
Yeah.
And then people with who are just struggling at all fronts, they just become worse and worse and worse, right?
I think there was a flashback on your Instagram on Sketch Institute of Todd and Jason shaking your hand, I think after our first year with you. And I think we had these large baggy shorts on at the conference and some sort of monstrous polo shirt. And we probably were like, let's wear a collared shirt.
Man.
It's like now it's
just total awkward. It's
just horrible. It's a terrible. Like actually somebody sent it to me and they're like, what's going on here? And I was like,
because it's
doing the best we can.
Cargo performance.
Yeah, it was terrible.
That's fantastic, right? Well, when he walked in today, I was like, oh, I'm so glad you didn't wear a suit. I was like, I'd wear a suit all the time. So I was like, not today.
Yeah.
So your dad goes off to Thailand, what'd you say? Turkey. Interesting spot. Mm-hmm. And so he reflects and he probably says, listen, these two are never going to do this if I don't get out of here, right? He probably is thinking a thought like that. He's like, I should get out of there. These guys don't have a chance if I... I'm sure to a degree, right? I kind of look at that with Flint. I want him to take over a division and I need to just let him take it over. And I don't, so over the next, when I was on my retreat, I was like, hey, the next 5 years, he needs to run this division and he doesn't need me in it. And I should be the consultant and I'll go do Practice Growth Institute. And you know what I mean?
I think it's a good idea.
I made that, it's funny, I made that decision, right? It's in the next 5 years, just transfer it. Let's talk about your... kind of the future. How many years did you say?
23 years.
23 of working. How do you compare a day in the life of Todd Sala today versus the day in the life of that guy with the oversized polo and the cargo shorts? You know what I'm saying? Seriously, how do you even, how different is it, right?
Life is completely different. There's no doubt about it. I think I'll go backwards to a little bit of what I perceive as relatability within that, right? That when I was struggling with the cargo shorts and the polo, I still thought I was doing a good job at that time, which I probably was doing a moderately good job.
Yes, probably.
But I think what it came back to is that trying to get good at what you do when you're smaller translates exactly the same to doing good at the small stuff when you're bigger, because if you don't have the foundation has to be there
right
when you're small to become big, because if you don't have the foundation there, which me and you have seen a lot, is they grow real fast and then they just become dysfunctional larger later. And so I think that's when I think about cash flow and getting the details of actually figuring out how to do that was the foundation to go forward. So that's a little bit of the background. The day in the life is totally different. I don't do much dentistry. I think last year I did less than $100,000 of dentistry total, and it was all free. So
interesting.
And the whole riddle is different, but understanding what it's like to be the dentist doing the work, because it is a very challenging profession, I think is the connectivity. I think there is concern going forward in the next 23 of staying relevant. If you get far enough away from your own profession.
Which I think going back training patients is actually probably going to be good for you.
It's probably not terrible. Right. I at least get to see
you learn a lot. Yeah.
Oh, I learned. It's fun actually. I got done with whatever February and I was like, that was actually
Yeah.
kind of fun. I mean, it's interesting, as you know, it's like raising kids, that treating patients, you get an applause almost every single hour,
which is cool.
Raising a team is like raising a kid. You don't get any applause ever until they go to their friend's house and the parent says you're raising a nice kid. You don't get the direct.
Yeah, you're never gonna.
It's a totally different
like they
game.
were what? So polite and nice and courteous and helpful.
Said thank you.
Yeah, it's so great, right? They're so smart. They know what to do, right?
Yeah, trained well, hopefully.
But when you look at like longevity, it changes the whole longevity issue, right? If you were still in there grinding it out every day, if the journey, and we all have these journeys, right? I always think back about like mentors I had or whatever, and it's that one little thing, and it totally changes, not to be dramatic, but changes the trajectory of where you go, right? What do you think, like, and this is, it's always it's not a fair question, but when you see a person just grinding the same thing and not making enhancements, what do you think on what happens to the duration of their career, right? I mean, it has to shrink it dramatically, right?
They don't turn into the great person that they're designed to be.
Yeah,
because burnout is like, it's easy to see. You see it when you coach your clients, and we get to see it, that the burnout is alive and real. And it's like they're fumbling for the lock and the key, and we can see it right in front of them. And it's more about like, hey, if you just stop doing dentistry one day, or your profession one day, and go read a book in your office or something totally different, their brain space changes. So did mine.
But I think so the term is metacognition, just thinking about your thinking, and for whatever it's worth, like my observation is you've spent the last 15 years, whatever, thinking about your thinking.
Correct.
When I think about like my career and what was good and what was bad, is like, and people say, well, how did you figure this out? And it was like, I thought about my thinking a lot more than most people, right? And that's my clients that are successful. They enjoy thinking about their thinking. Let's talk about this. I just spent 2 days with a big group of clients, and they fly in, and you have some tomorrow and so these people come in, they get on an airplane, they leave their practice. And by the way, I think it's important you guys understand this, right? Because that process alone is like a bit of a sabbatical. It's counterintuitive, right? Yeah. But it's disconnecting from the patients and the demands. And then we walk them through a process of thinking about your thinking that causes you to go back and approach things differently. And so what I would say is, you guys, if you're listening or watching Todd, it's a byproduct of a lot of years of that. And then like you become a different person, if it's in confidence, if it's in the way you carry yourself, if it's in certainty about life. I mean, you and your wife came, and we spent, 2 days in the Dominican talking about how to create a legacy, right? You go back, if I invited you to that 15 years ago, you'd be like, listen, I ain't got time for that. We got to talk about
what am I supposed to do there again?
Yeah. We got to talk about how to survive,
tell
right?
Me the purpose again.
And we're talking about how to be more philanthropic, or how to leave a better world behind, right? I mean, so I think that's could you imagine like having that conversation 15 years ago?
It probably wouldn't even come out of my mouth. And if it did, it would have been probably the worst sales pitch known to man. Because we're surviving, right? Correct. That's the one thing you got to realize. I don't want everyone to be, if you're listening to this and you're in survival mode, the hope is that you realize that there is if you put the work in and the time in, you can get out of survival mode. You'll still have pieces that feel like it sometimes. Like right now, you lose 3 associates. That's like a survival situation for sure. It's a bit of a slap in the face, but it's also, that's a needed, that's part of the process.
You hire more.
Think about the self-induced pressure to put on yourself after doing the same profession as your family for 112 years.
That's a lot, yeah.
And then don't do that profession anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So like the space between doing something that your family's done for 100 and some odd years and doing it, and then being like, okay, I wanted to get good at it. And then 15 years into your journey, you're just like, okay, let's run the practice of dentist. And that's a totally different ballpark. So
how much did they get to see that? How much did the family actually get to see you guys do blaze your own trail type thing? the people that came before you guys, as you guys started to do what you did.
Yeah. So my granddad got to see the new building for like when he was kind of on his, end.
Okay.
My dad, of course, got to see it for 7 years.
Yeah.
He got to see a little bit of it, but he was kind of on a downhill slide as well. So, but I think probably maybe max 10 years, they got to see this like new version. My dad was not really aligned with that new version.
Right. Well, that's an important thing to.
Which is, he was kind of like, are you sure, you should be doing and I was kind of like, well, I am sure because I think that I know this is the best path for me.
Right.
So
nothing like being supported by your dad.
he was challenging the beliefs. I mean, you think about working hard for something for 30 some odd years.
Oh yeah. My dad used to call my wife. She told me this years after. She said he would call me every Saturday and she'd pick up the phone and they'd talk a little bit. And he'd say, when is Jay going to get a real job? Like he thought I should work for a company. Like,
you were like,
because that's what he did.
You're
it's
a
like,
YouTuber.
I'm like an entrepreneur, and he's like, when's he going to get a real job?
Yeah, that Dominican Republic trip in January helped out tremendously. It definitely changed my, helped out with my wife for sure on getting out of her mom, because her mom career's ending. And getting her into seeing teacher world and, helped out her a lot. And we're actually going to go back in July.
Good. So it was a lot of fun.
It was great. That was a great trip.
Like, when you do this, like we took people down and showed them where we had built a dental clinic and where we send people on mission trips. And you kind of never know what the experience is going to be. But I think everybody in their own, and one of the things that we saw, and I will tell you this, that I think it is interesting too, that is if you, as a doctor, if you decide you want to really have a great business, when you're the person you're married to can start to also feel uncomfortable with prosperity because they don't earn the money. And so it feels different. And I think I'm so shocked at how many of those spouses kind of pulled me aside and said, I really needed this. And I've been struggling with not yours, but like talking about like sort of almost like trying to contain their husband. Like he was so wildly motivated and so taking on things that the spouse becomes uncomfortable with it. So I do think for everybody, that's for everybody, I know for me, like my wife wants no part of the spotlight. She really doesn't care about money that much. I mean, she has a lot of nice things. She likes nice things, but she kind of doesn't even think she does, which I find very ironic. My kids are kind of like, they laugh at her. They're like, "You,
Mom."
Yeah, you're like, you're very bedazzled, but but what I'm saying is that was never the driving. Like that wasn't that's what sometimes the conquest. Like as guys, we want to do certain things, but you really make your family almost uncomfortable, right? I was thinking about, I used to show up and pick up Annabelle in middle school, and one day I'd pull up in a Ferrari and the next day a Rolls Royce. So the other day we were talking, she was like, oh man. And these high school boys would just be sitting there like, Annabelle, your dad is here, and she got to sheepishly walk to the car, And so prosperity and success brings on some trappings that actually make other family members sometimes feel uncomfortable.
Correct. Yeah, we're gonna bring our kids down in July, and so they get to see.
Don't you think?
I mean, it's a nice reset, right? That was profound too, because the Dominicans in nature were extremely happy people.
Yeah,
and I was like, that is so awesome. Like that made me, just because of whatever luck of being born in a different location, right?
Yeah.
They were happy. I'm happy, and that made
Yeah, I want to talk about a couple other things, but any other last thoughts about people that are listening to this are usually kind of nosing around. They want some free stuff, they want to be motivated, right? It's kind of like my contribution to it's the free version of picking up some tidbits to help you out type thing. So
pearls.
Any other last sort of, hey, these are things that I wish I would have known, or I mean, can we talk about being coached? I mean, because that's such a weird...
It totally changed my whole trajectory of life.
Yeah.
And allowing a coach to tell you the things that maybe you didn't want to hear and being receptive of them, and also sometimes not wanting to hear them. And then also understanding that you got to hear that. But I think
And you got a kid playing sports, he's getting coached, right? I mean, you see it.
he's on his third coach, and he gets to see all different styles
Good and
of
bad,
coaching.
right?
Yeah, and that's what I've telling him. I'm like, you're getting the perspective of those coaches who are trying to help, but they have different styles, and certain styles are better.
Don't you think it's good when they have a bad coach? In hindsight, every once in a while?
It's
kind of like it really screws with their head.
It's funny because, well, it's not funny. It's hard as a parent because you get to watch your kid you know that they're not actually, they're not cranking the way they, Well, coaching for us is a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
That's a for sure thing.
Being coached and coaching. That's really the highest level of, like, you got a coach to run a practice. You got a coach team.
I don't know how you do. I think that's why we see a lot of start and fails or start, fail, and then boomerang, where they come back around because we have the epiphany to try again.
That's funny.
The why to continue the journey became not about me. And I think that was the turning point for me when I was understanding that I'm going to be good. I'm already good. I'm better than I thought I was ever going to be. I don't know if that's just a low bar initial theory, but either way, it's above that bar. So now when I think about things, when I wake up, like, this morning, I'm thinking about how can I help the people around me become better? And that's the motivation for me and Jason to continue the journey, right? Because we can see a stall, and stalls are fine. But I want to go up to the next level and bring more people with me to have that effect, right? I got to see my dad's practice it's 51 years in practice. I got to see my dad's. And we have a couple long-term employees, and I know they're in really good spots in their lives. Yeah. And it makes me super happy. But I think about the people I want to affect. I want them to be in an even better spot. And I think that would be one of my things is
that's cool.
When it stopped becoming about me, I was kind of like, well, my journey's good. If I continue this path forward for whatever it is, my goal was $5 million at 55. When we started at 35, that was the end all be all goal.
That was the end of the year. That was it. That
was the period on the end of the sentence. And so
there's a bigger vision.
Much bigger vision. I feel like once that door opened up, then you look at that next room and you're like, well, I didn't even know this room existed. And now this is a very fun room to play in.
I love that. Well, and here you are. This is a contribution. You didn't get paid anything to do this, so it's not like I pay you to be on here. So this is free work, for both of us. This is trying to help people out, right? This is what's so great. You can take some time to share with them. So let's talk to me a little bit about, you guys have a buying group, which I've referred lots and lots of people to, and has been great. And we're in the midst, actually, this year, our whole, I don't want to say the whole program, but I'm theming the year on margin, not margins, but like margin of money and time. So we're in the midst of like I did a call last night. We're just starting, and then like every month I'm doing a call on margin and coaching, and the correlation between time and freedom of time, and then freedom of money, which are the two things that it's so funny I don't have one with me, but in my diagram of my purpose, those two have kind of subtly right in there, right? And it's what I saw every client wanted, but they couldn't articulate it, right? So if you said, what do you want? It's kind of like your goal, just $5 million. You have $5 million at the top of the mountain, But really, that's now, like if I said to you, what about just a bunch of extra money and a bunch of extra time? That's more attractive than $5 million. Like you'll take that all day. And what's been great about, and you went out and set all that up, and I think you were trying to give value to other people. So let's talk a little bit about how that works. So, because I want people to understand it. And this is an easy way for you guys to save money on supplies and various things. So, right? I mean, it's been tremendous, right?
It helps independent dentists battle what the outside world is doing, which is consolidation, right?
Right.
So we're not an anti-consolidation company. We're just for the independent dentist, which is Clear Impact, which is the business, the buying group business.
Which is sort of the claim, like, oh, if you buy me, I'm going to get this great deal on supplies. That's not why you sell your business.
No.
So let's talk about it. It's been good. And again, I've sent hundreds of people over, so it's Clear Impact.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you a quick thing. I got a survey result. A nationwide survey result of dentists at the end of 2024, and they talked about There are three biggest concerns they had for 2025.
Okay.
62% of them said recruiting, retaining high-performing employees. 62% makes total sense. 52% of them said insurance reimbursement or reimbursement was low, and 47% of them said overhead.
Costs, yeah.
So you think about retaining and attracting the providers, which I know you got going.
I'm doing an event in June on that subject for that reason.
I thought it was kind of cool. So 62% of the people agree with that. And then 47% of them say that overhead is a problem. Inflation clearly has gobbled into. What Clear Impact does is it's a buying group that helps you save money on supplies, right? You think about like when we talk about 2012 of cash flow. I didn't even know what a profit and loss looks like.
Yeah.
Now you look at 6,200 on your profit and loss. You want it to be at below 6%. And the easiest way to do it for an independent dentist is to sign up for Clear Impact. The thing about it is it's $250 a year.
Okay.
I mean, it's literally nothing. You get better discounts through Henry Schein on their supplies.
Okay.
That's by far the biggest one.
Okay.
You'll make up the $250. On average, our clients save about $12,000 a year in supplies.
And listen, I mean, I think this is where I go, I have to sit here and say to somebody like, maybe the 12,000 isn't life-changing, but every time you do something like that, it sort of supercharges into another area.
Correct.
And every time you say, that's not worth a little bit of effort, that supercharges into an area, and then Parkinson's law takes over. Yeah. So I just would remind everybody that, like, if you're poo-pooing saving $12,000, you have a problem. I mean, and I think people think like, well, once you become, whatever your definition of a rich is, do you stop paying attention to money? And the answer is no, you pay attention to money more. I think that's important, right? It's like
you just fall harder when you stop paying attention more, right?
Yeah,
you got larger, you have more commas and zeros. And when you don't pay attention to the 1 or 2%, it hits harder. So Clear Impact is an easy way. It's $250 a year for it. There's within that umbrella, you get discounts on lease negotiations, insurance, like dental.
All the things that they're saying they're going to do for you, and they have to take all your equity to give to you.
Correct.
Yeah, which is why I like it.
Yeah, it's all the things.
So how do they do it? Where do they go? What's the
clearimpact.com?
Spell it out.
KLEARIMPAKT.com. Clearimpact.com. It's join now. It's like 12 boxes. It'll take you.
What's with the
5 minutes.
impact? What's with the
spelling?
You obviously couldn't get the regular one.
I don't know. I think it's just to make it more confusing.
Okay, good.
Clear
I just
Impact
wanted to
with
make sure
K's
with a
on
K.
both. Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of important because they're never going to find it.
Yeah, maybe
they're going to be entering
link at the bottom.
Clear Impact, and you're going to be getting some kind of laminate to go over a window.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Clear Impact. Like you're going to be like, okay.
I think just in general, it's kind of one of those that when I have coached your clients for the last 14 years, I find that the people who are open and understanding that we're here for their benefit, they always sign up.
Yeah.
When we get the more resistant, I'm going to challenge your theory on things, we just let them kind of do their own thing.
Yeah.
I don't, that's not a battle I want to challenge anymore. We also have within Clear Impact, there's a Elite Dental Alliance, which is has Benco as one of their providers. I think they have like 150 different vendors. Okay. And then the last one is DC Dental. So the person who wants to do the DIY, I want to do it all on my own, I want to order supplies on it, we have that option for them now too.
Okay. Yeah, and I think these are just the kind of things that, listen, in today's day and age, I mean, it's why, that's why we're having these conversations about how do you pay attention, and then what you really do is you take the 12 you save and you invest it in an area that grows your practice, right? If it's 3 months for an operatory. Yeah, it's exactly. It's a big chunk of an operatory. It's seeding a new employee that you need. So this is the game, and I just want to encourage everyone to understand that whenever you start deciding that you're above paying attention, you're heading for trouble. It's like, and I think, I do think there's a great misperception about this that I would tell my sister, I would say, I could negotiate at Sam's, and she's like, what? So one day, years ago, we go to Sam's and I said, see that TV up there? I'm going to buy that TV, but I'm not paying that price. And I don't know what it was in me that day, but I was like, and sure enough, I called the guy over and I was like, hey, listen, there's a little ding on that TV. And he's like, well, what do you say? Cut off a couple $100. I was like, $250, I'll buy it. He goes, fine. My sister's just standing there shell-shocked, because she's afraid. Mm-hmm. So again, like I encourage you, shouldn't be afraid. You don't want to hurt people, but like this is the kind of stuff I
think that's what we do find is sometimes this goes back to the salesman of the company that is selling you the supplies.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I understand that there's a relationship there. But the truth is I would rather have that money to invest in my own team than somebody else, because what we know about the members of Clear Impact is they're always growing members. They're actually a growing business. They're not a stagnant business. Yeah. So it actually makes more sense for the salesman to have that as well.
Well, and here's the problem with the salesman. Generally I have a problem that whoever is the salesman that's in your office the most, I'm going to help you guys out. They're the one that's screwing you, okay? Because they've won you over to the point you won't ask the price and you won't ask for a discount because they've caught you, it's like, and that's what people do. There's a lot of emotion. It's like, well, I'm going to overpay because I like the salesperson. That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard of. They stop asking for discounts.
Yep, Sam's Club analogy is perfect. I'd rather have an executive assistant help me with the things I need to do.
Well, I have this great little thing I do where I bring people in and I say, so like in terms of all your clients, like where am I? And they're like, oh, you're pretty good. And I was like, yeah, but like, I don't know, like where am I? You're in the top 5. And so I go, okay, yeah, that's not going to be good enough. Like, I'm not asking you the name of the top 1. I'm asking you within the top 5, where do I rank? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden maybe they're like, either you're the best or you're the second or third. So I go, okay. And then I say, well, can I ask you a question? How come it doesn't feel like it? And it's such an easy negotiation, right? And I've literally, every one of them's always been like, oh man, I'm really sorry, And I go, well, I just want to understand our relationship. So if I'm your second best client, how come I don't feel like it? Yeah. And am I getting the best pricing and it's really fascinating to sit there and they will like almost like have this cathartic thing of saying like, they'll sort of apologize and then they'll start to realize that they weren't because we don't always here's what you got to remember. Those people become complacent. If you never ask for a better price or you never do a comparison or you don't get a second quote, they're just going to keep raising the price.
There's no problem.
And their margin is going to go up and yours is going to go down. So I think that even the idea of, getting with Clear Impact, comparing the prices to prices you're paying. I'd pay $250 just to be able to have the ability to compare prices and see what's happening. And this is a drill that every business owner has to participate in.
It'll never change.
Yeah.
That part of it is on your P&L, and that's what you got to go through. That's one. And you think about low-hanging fruit, right? Can you imagine, like, at the end of the podcast, like, well, give me a pearl. It's like, fire the bottom 10% today. Right. Everybody would be like, no chance, no way, I'd never do that. But if you can save some money on supplies, it's like, just green light it. It's super easy.
But what's funny is, like, we're watching this, and we'll wrap it up on this, but if not to get into a political conversation, but if you have to watch this stuff that's going on, this is the greatest theater ever. Like, if I say to people, like, did you watch this? And they're like, no, I didn't watch it. I'm like, because you're witnessing the greatest. I would say people, they judge you on the way, like, for doing one thing and then doing the other. So for instance, they're like, and you look at what's happening, we're trying to reduce expenses in the government, and you have all these people going berserk. So when you're trying to cut expenses, it doesn't matter what you try to cut, you're going to get resistance. And it's really fascinating to watch, right?
I think Southwest Airlines did a good job of it right before. They cut their whole team by 15%, but nobody cares because the political theater is much louder, but they clearly
companies are cutting all over the place, but their stock goes up. So, but dentists tend not to think that that's part of what their DNA is. Like, it's like, so but you got to watch it because, we did a call last night, and I think I was inviting our coaching clients to this idea of sort of opening up an office, so to speak, of I'm going to work on paying attention to the money. And so the clear impact conversation is that's exactly what that is. It's like you don't skip over these conversations. So they can go to the website.
Sign
cool.
up, 5 minutes.
Fantastic. Thank you for giving them access to that. That's great. All right. So anyways, get out there. As I told you many years ago, there's a lot of potential.
It's very true.
Just got to harvest it, man. But you really got to do the right things, right? So it's like come, get involved in a group, whatever it might be. Reach out, try to get a discount on your supplies, learn to be a better negotiator, right? All kinds of great skills.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Appreciate you. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
See you guys.
Thanks.
We'll see you soon.